expensive. But if you take that opportunity cost out of it, if you look at the bare necessities that a kid needs, it's not that expensive. You're talking about diapers here. It does not cost a lot. You're talking about food. They don't eat that much, especially when they're young. So, so the thing about taking care of kids, as far as the finances are concerned, it's not a lot of money. Um, but it is difficult in the sense of where I said you don't get that much sleep, especially for the first, if you have one kid for the first year. If you have four kids, then it's for the next 4 years of your life. You don't get much sleep. All right, there's a lot of crying, a lot of whining throughout the entire day. So that's something you got to get used to. All right, you almost have to learn to tune it out because it just, it gets really really noisy. All right, and it's just having kids. There are obviously there's positives. You know, but I'm gonna go through. I'm trying to go through everything to get you the feeling of how it is to have a lot of kids. And it's not for everybody. When I go through this life I'm living this now. Having kids is like this. It's not like you could get a refund or something like that. It's not like you buy something at the store and then you're like, oh, I don't want it anymore, and you return it. It's not like that. It's like once you have a kid, it's like you're responsible for that child for 18 years according to the law. The law states that kids do not turn adult until they're 18 years of age. So you are responsible for them for 18 years. All right? And since, say I have 4 kids and they're all 1 year apart, now I'm responsible for somebody else's life and well-being for 22 years. So it's like 22 years dedication. And that's a long time. And it might not be the route for everybody. The way that I think about it too is that if the economy is going well and you got a lot of money in the bank and you got a nice home that's worth a lot, then you have so much money that you don't mind having a lot of kids because you got a lot of money. It's no problem because you have a lot of money. But when the economy falls down and you don't, you lose your job and your home value slashes in value by half, and now you're struggling to survive. Now having kids is not that much of a joy anymore because you don't have the finances. You barely have the finances to take care of yourself. Now you got to take care of you got to still take care of the kids, and that's the thing that really can be a big struggle for a lot of parents. Is that when they have a lot of money, no taking care financing kids, no problem. But once you lose, the economy goes down, and all of a sudden you don't have as much money anymore. Now you're not just worried about your own safety and your own well-being. You have, in my case, for example, 4 other kids that you gotta watch out for, and that's a huge responsibility. And what makes it so difficult as a parent, especially in a struggling economy. All right, and that's something that everyone has to be aware of. That when you have kids, you're not responsible just for yourself anymore. You're responsible for another living human being, supporting that person fully in everything. And not a lot of people are ready for that. And it is difficult, in that respect. All right. Some people, for example, when they have a lot of money, a nice job that's paying well, they end up buying a home that they can't afford. And then say they lose their job, and then now the home goes into foreclosure. And then they lose the home, and then now they gotta move back in with their parents. It sucks, but at least that's something that they could, it's not that bad. can still get back on their feet. But say you got the same parent who has a nice job, paying well, and then he has kids that he has to take care of, and he loses the job. The parent is in trouble if he doesn't have finances, because he's not just responsible for himself, he's responsible for all the children. And it's not like he can just put his kids on the foreclosure and then just throw them away. No, these kids are with them, and they're gonna be with them. He's gonna have to take care of them, and that's what makes the major difference. Say you got a car. You have a nice job. You buy an expensive car, and all of a sudden you lose your job. They could just take the car back and then whatever. But with these kids, it's not like that. I mean, they're with you, and you're responsible for them, and that's the thing. You know. There could be a time where you could feel like everything's going well for you. You got a nice paying job, you got money in the bank, and you feel that, hey, I think I'm ready. I think I could take care of children. That could be the case at that time. But 5 years later, say the economy goes down the drain and you lose your job, you might not feel like that anymore. You might feel like, well, dang, I was able to take care of these kids for 5 years, but now I don't feel I can anymore because it's too much. And that's a reality for a lot of people. And it's sad, but that's how it is. And another thing is that's difficult to deal with is, to me, having kids is a full-time job, and even more difficult than having a full-time job. But yet the society doesn't really respect being a parent as a full-time job. They try to force the parents to work full-time while being parents. And that's very, very difficult. That's like trying to have 2 or 3 full-time jobs all at once. It's very difficult. It's one thing being single and working full-time. It's another thing to take care of 4 kids or how many other kids and working full-time at the same time. It's very difficult. And especially with the high divorce rates nowadays, it's sad. I don't know how people are expected to take care of children and work with no spouse. I don't know how people are expected to do that. Because even if you do have a spouse and you're both trying to take care of the kids and work full time, even that is hard. So the society doesn't really respect having children as an occupation, when really it is the most important occupation, in human nature. But yet they try so hard to draw you away from your home. They encourage you to throw your kids in daycare so then everyone could work. And that's a difficult thing, when you don't have the support of the society, of where they acknowledge and that being a parent is a full-time job. Alright? It ends up becoming where you almost have like 2 full-time jobs. You gotta work your full-time job and you gotta come home and work another full-time job. And that is difficult. That's very draining on the body and mind. Okay? Another thing is, having experienced this, having kids, and having the experience of being single and not having kids, or not having a wife or anybody significant, I can make good, I could express both views to the point where I could try to get people to understand both sides. Alright. Now, everybody, most of the time, they have this American dream. They have this view of things working out perfectly. Okay, we get the high-paying job, get the big home, nice car, find, a spouse, have kids, live happily ever after. Alright? People have that view, and when they're single, they strive for that, and when they don't get it,